What's up, y'all? Manny, Carrera, your real estate resource, and this is episode number 14 of Whiskey Wednesday podcast sessions, where we sit with entrepreneurs, influencers, movers, and shakers over a glass of some fine whiskey. Today is pretty much a continuation of last week. We're gonna be drinking Balcon's Baby Blue. Last week, for those of you that were watching, we drank Rumble, and it was really strong. This one's actually a lot sweeter. For me, it tastes a little bit like vanilla, so it has a really good, smooth taste. I'm gonna be joined today by my special guest and a good friend. I've actually, over the last couple of years been able to see his journey, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on this podcast. I think he has a really good story. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Chavez. What's up, brother?
Hey, my man.
Welcome to El Paso.
Thank you, bro.
How was your drive in your monster truck?
Not bad, not bad.
How's the gas?
Gas was about 8 miles a gallon, so
damn, that's horrible.
Not too bad.
That's cool, man. Well, welcome to El Paso.
Thank you,
I
bro.
know you had trouble finding the place.
I had trouble parking. I didn't have trouble finding it. Parking was the hard part.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, Chris drives a big old black monster truck. Looks like Batman, so if you see him, get out of the way.
Desert Batmobile.
Yeah. So, really excited to have you on, man. You know, not only have I seen, like I said, your journey as an entrepreneur, and I've seen you like really grow, and we're both in the same place, and that's really what's cool, is that I've seen that progress from you. But on top of that, we're really good friends, so really excited to just have you on and for you to tell your story. I know that, hopefully somebody here listening will be impacted by your story.
That's what we hope for, right?
Yeah, for sure. So let's start off with you telling us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go ahead and dive in.
Cool. So, a little bit about me. I'm from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I'm
born and raised.
Born and raised.
Nice. What are you guys over there like? What is New Mexico known for?
New Mexico is known for green chili. So all the green chili comes from our state.
Chili comes from New Mexico.
Agriculture. We're a big agricultural community. So
awesome.
Pecans. We have the world's second largest pecan orchard.
Who has the first?
I think it's in Australia.
Oh, shit.
I think it's in Australia. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's in Australia.
Dope.
But actually, New Mexico is known for, or should be known for, wine.
You guys do have some really good wine.
Yeah.
So I like the all the wine tasting festivals that you guys have too.
Yeah. So
Latina, right?
Dude, there's so many wine festivals. So a lot of people don't know this, but Las Cruces, so the Spaniards.
Mm-hmm.
When they came, they settled in the Mesilla Valley, and they actually brought their wine grapes to Las Cruces, and they started growing grapes for wine. Then we started distributing them throughout the U.S., and Napa Valley started buying our grapes, so they're known for wine because of Las Cruces.
So they got the seeds.
They stole our thunder, man.
Wow.
So can't nobody steal our green chili, though. That's awesome.
Yeah, that green chili is pretty bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely know that you guys are known for green chili. So
yeah.
Cool, man. What else about you aside from green chili and Chris?
So I'm born and raised in Las Cruces, small town. We met 10 years ago almost.
Yeah.
Coming close to 10 years.
Yeah, close. I'd say probably
seven years.
8,
yeah, 7 years.
Go ahead.
So my whole journey began when I started working at the mall. The very first job I ever had. I just got out of high school.
At a Diamond Wireless.
Diamond Wireless, man.
No longer in existence.
Yep. So I started working for Verizon, and like that's a grind, man. That's a hustle there.
What was it like working there for the people that don't know? Because I think in general sales have changed in the last 5 years for sure. I think especially that type of job, the sales where you really have to you have to pitch.
Push.
Yeah.
You have to push.
Yeah, you have to yell at people and, hey, you got Verizon. So what was working there in that environment at that time like?
So being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You had to be
For
comfortable
sure.
being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because I remember the first time, like, we would have to sit there, we would just have to pitch.
Right.
I mean, how are you going to gain your clients? I mean, you're sitting in the middle of a kiosk, in the middle of a mall, and if you've ever been to the Mesilla Valley Mall, Las Cruces is a tiny town. It's a city of 150 people, 150,000 people. 150,000 people, really small town.
Yeah.
So our mall doesn't have a lot of foot traffic. So even in Las Cruces, it was tough.
I remember going out there.
It was tough.
Doing it.
So in order for you to gain business, you have to be creative, and
Right.
you really that's really where my networking came into play. You know, and you learn how to network there. Just utilizing the people that you know, and just become friends with everybody.
Was that your first sales job?
That was my very first sales job.
That was my first sales job too. I think. Did you start before me or after?
I think I started a little bit after you.
A little bit after.
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember going through those same feelings. It was my first sales job. I had worked at GCU prior to that, and GCU's customer service base. You know, you come up to me with your questions or problems, and I
I'm not familiar. What's GEC?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. That's a local bank here in El Paso. It's like the biggest credit union here in El Paso, and I remember going into the sales job and starting at Diamond at Cielo Vista Mall, the busiest mall here in El Paso at the time, and I was like shitting bricks because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to be aggressive to people, and it was a very uncomfortable feeling.
You have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
you have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Man. So on top of Diamond, I mean, how was that experience like, and how did that kind of take you onto your journey?
Yeah, working at Verizon, I worked at the Diamond, the little kiosk there in the mall in Las Cruces. I was there for about a year. And on my 21st birthday, coming back from a vacation in LA.
Tell the story.
Yeah, I come back from a vacation in LA, and Manny Valletta at the time, who was my manager, who I owe so much to.
Yeah.
Shout out to so Manny much to.
He was
so
my
Manny
manager
Valletta,
also.
You are an OG, man. Thank you so much. But he really came in, and he was my manager. He broke me down, and I was doing everything correct, and the only thing I was doing wrong was I was forgetting to just ask for the sale. And I've always genuinely cared about people, but working there really taught me how to not be afraid to go and ask for what you want and be uncomfortable, and it might be a no.
Yeah.
And I remember, so I got a phone call from Manny Valletta, my 21st birthday, coming down. He said, "Hey, we need some help opening some stores on the East Coast." I said, "Take me, man. I'm cool, man. I'm 21 years old. Let's do it, baby.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun." So they were just gonna take us for a couple weeks. Well, the next day I get back from my vacation. It's Monday now, and I get a call and they say, "Hey, you're gonna be going here." I said, "Perfect." Tuesday comes around. I get a phone call, and I remember talking to you about everything because you were getting promoted to go to Miami.
Yeah, at the same time, I actually had applied. I had applied to move out.
So you applied for it?
Yeah, I applied. So this is what actually happened with my story. Like, we were all working at Diamond at the time, and everybody got an email. All the stores got an email that they're going to be opening 150 stores out on the East Coast from Maine all the way down to Florida. So I was like,
I didn't know.
I was like, yeah, you didn't see that email. So
I was on vacation.
I'm like looking at the email, and I'm like, holy shit! Like, right now, the position that I was in, at the time, I was number one
store
in
killer
in the Southwest
store
region.
Killer.
I was setting records. I was just leading, So I was just so confident in myself that I was like, once I put this application in to whichever of these stores that I want to go to, I felt like I was gonna get it, and I applied for a store manager position in Miami, Florida. 2 days later, I got an interview, and then I got a call, and they told me, "Hey, instead of being a store manager, we actually want to give you a market manager position and give you multiple stores, not just one." I was like, okay, I'm down. Let's do it. I was fucking excited, and I hung up, and I was like, what the fuck am I getting myself into? I've never even managed a store, and they gave me multiple stores. So I was like, holy shit, And they told me, hey, and you have to be in Miami in 14 days. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it happened so quick.
It's
but
the same thing.
That's exactly.
Same thing.
It was all in the same time frame.
Time frame. Yeah. That Tuesday I got back. Second day back to work, I got a call.
Yeah.
Same thing. They set up an interview for, I think Friday, and it happened on Thursday.
Right.
And they said that they would let me know by Saturday, and they let me know on Friday. that I was going to Miami, and I didn't know that you were going yet. But I know that you had put in for it. You were saying, "Hey, hopefully." I'm like, "Dude, Lane, tell him to take me with you." I just wanted to go and work with you, just go for fun, for a vacation, you know, another vacation, man.
It was no vacation. We worked our asses off.
So I remember getting the same phone call Saturday. Hey, when's the soonest you can get here? And I'm like, oh my god, pack my stuff, and I leave like a few days later, man.
So you didn't know that you were gonna live there?
No, I did know that I was gonna.
Oh, you got the position already.
Yes, okay. I got the position.
Because I remember you living out of a U-Haul for as long as I lived out of a U-Haul for.
Dude, I cannot believe that. I remember just cruising around, and at the time I didn't understand how realtors worked. You know, at the time, if we would have.
Oh yeah, I didn't either.
If we would have understood how to utilize them a little bit.
So to tell you what we're kind of talking about, the struggle from moving from one city. A small city, you know, yours was small.
I come from a small city.
And El Paso is still considerably small. I think at the time we probably had a population of 700,000. Mm-hmm. Right now we're closer to 1 million, but at the time it was considered a small city, you know. So going to Miami, to huge city, I remember feeling like fucking
culture shock.
Culture shock for sure, overwhelmed. And I remember I had my own U-Haul. I literally took my entire apartment. Within those 14 days that they told me I had to be there, packed my whole life up in a U-Haul, packed up my car, and I bounced, you know, we drove out there.
I remember that white Beamer, and you damaged it. You damaged it.
I'm
pretty damaged it on the U-Haul. I remember that.
I did a lot of stuff to that white Beamer. But I remember, you know, the first month or two or three probably, we were living literally in hotels out of U-Hauls because we didn't understand how hard it was in Miami to just get an apartment. It's like the same process, if not longer, than buying a house. Which, for you guys that are buying a house right now, feel blessed that it's only 30 days
for sure.
to get your keys. Because yeah, I mean, out there it's literally like buying a house. You have to go through all these approvals and applications, and then, you know, the time frame that it takes, it's usually about 30 to 60 days, and it's just really tough, you know. So I know we had a lot of struggles, similar struggles, moving out there. So what was that like for you? Because, you know, I've talked a lot about my experience out of Miami, and it was great. And I've talked about, you know, a life occurring or changing moment that I had once in my condo. But what was that experience like for you? I know you were out there for about a year and a half, right? Mm-hmm. So what was that like for you?
So it was interesting, man. It was interesting because as much fun and where I come from, the city that I live in, Las Cruces, a lot of our generation is a little confused in our city, right? And this is what was part of the culture shock and culture change for me. Is that I loved where I came from. I love my city, and a lot of people don't really like it because there's not a whole lot of nightlife and stuff to do. Mm-hmm. So it's not a happening place, I guess you can say.
Right.
So.
Just a short drive away, though it is. Huh?
Yeah. You have to drive an hour away, man. And you can't party and do that, man. That's tough. Yeah,
no, it is.
That's tough.
So you gotta know people.
So moving to Miami was, you know, in my mind, you know, kind of what I mustered it up to be was the Las Cruces dream. You know, is get out of the small city and live in a big town and live in a nice place. And I had a condo right on the beach. I mean, you would come over all the time. Hallandale Beach, man. Awesome. I remember that. And, you know, I literally, we walk across the street, we're at the beach, and, you know, that's the life. You know, living on Ocean Drive, and if you've ever been to Miami, Ocean Drive is where it's happening.
I don't like the Ocean Drive. It's too crowded there, bro.
And that's exactly my point.
It's beautiful, yeah.
And that's exactly my point is you know, we don't appreciate where we come from, and I think that's something that was what my experience helped me realize. There is you gotta have your friends, you gotta have your family there, and my experience there was almost lonely.
Yeah,
it was almost lonely, dude. It was almost lonely, and I remember having Thanksgiving by myself. I remember we had Christmas together.
Yeah,
remember we had Christmas together. We had Christmas together, and we I mean, neither one of, I mean, we're 21. I don't know how old you were at the time. 23, something like that.
19.
Yeah. and when we were there, I mean, neither one of us cooked.
Yeah.
You know what was good?
We were bachelors out there. We ate pollo
dudes,
tropical like all day, every day.
So
Jamaican food. Huh?
Jamaican food. Oh,
you
man.
were like super into Jamaican food.
It was spicy. There's no spicy food over there, man.
That's so true.
The green chili.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. But living there was almost lonely, man. It was interesting, and I think that's part of how we grew our relationship. Is, I mean, even though we're here, you're here, you were here, and I was in Las Cruces, we still knew each other, so we became attached to what was familiar.
Right.
You know, and that's how I feel. I kind of coped with being there.
Yeah,
having your
I mean, it was cool, and it was definitely one of those experiences. I think, you know, moving to a city where you don't have any friends, don't have any family.
It's tough.
It's tough, and it's a lot tougher, I think, than it even sounds. Cause I thought I was like good, you know, and I remember like month 7, month 8, being away from my family and friends, and being away from all those nights that they were having fun and my family's cookouts and things like that. It was tough, you know. It was really tough because it was lonely out there. But yeah, I remember you and Juan Ochoa, you know, Juan, another one from New Mexico. But we all hung out. We were probably the only Mexicans out there. But it was really cool, and it was definitely an experience. I think more of a self-aware experience and a kind of a humbling experience to really appreciate the friends and family that you do have in your life. You know, I remember coming back to visit the first time in El Paso, and I was like, fuck, like I missed all you guys. Like I wanted a hug and not let go of anybody, you know, because being away that long, it does take a toll. But I could say, you know, being out there for almost 4 years, for me, getting past that was really rewarding for me, and I was so grateful to do it, because it just made you it made me a lot stronger. You know, I came back and I was just like, I'm coming back because I get to come back, and it's my decision.
You choose to come.
Yeah, exactly.
It's your choice.
And it's cool, man. I think it's definitely an experience for anybody to move out of a small city, especially, you know, and experience something like that can be life-changing and eye-opening too, because I learned a shitload of stuff out there. What was one of you started managing a store out there? What was one of the biggest lessons that you learned out there as a manager, as a first-time manager? And I'm really kind of leading up to what you're doing now, just because I think the story of where you started, how, you know, we didn't have a lot of experience, but all those things led up to knowledge that you're now using today.
Absolutely, for sure.
So what were some of those challenges that you faced as a manager out there?
You know what?
Aside from competing with me.
I think one of the toughest things, not toughest things, but one of the things that really sticks out to me when I look back and connect the dots on life and how my mindset has grown to this is, you gotta problem solve. You know, life is about problem solving as much as you possibly can, and the more problems you can solve, the better off your life is gonna be. And that doesn't necessarily mean go looking for problems to solve, but if somebody comes to you with a need, finding out how to fulfill that need.
Right.
And one of the toughest things as a manager is teaching somebody that mindset of fulfilling the need of the person that's in front of you, and actually really giving a shit about them. You know, really giving a shit about them, for sure. Really caring. And I think one of the toughest struggles was finding the right people. Finding the right people, because there's good salesmen who can sell and push and make somebody buy. But what happens if you've ever been in the sales industry, where if you're like wireless or anything like that, there's something called a chargeback. And if your sale isn't a clean sale and they continue on for 6 months, they charge you back. You can find a hustler, push, but if they're not setting the right expectations,
that retention, that retention rate.
Yep. And if you're not making the right kinds of sales, you're going to start to get charged back, and that affects you negatively.
Right.
So one of the toughest things is transferring that mindset of fixing someone else's problem or meeting someone else's need. That mindset is tough to teach.
I think what you're kind of saying is having somebody that has those good intentions behind what they're doing, not just for the money, but also because they actually give a shit.
You got to care. You got to care about the people that's in front of you. And whether the decision is to do business with you or not, you offer a solution.
Right.
And I think what was kind of interesting is everything comes to it. Everything comes down to discovering what somebody needs and how can you help them fulfill that need. Even as a manager teaching your employee, it's very difficult sometimes to teach an employee something new, because you need them to have that idea come from within.
Right. I think you have to just have somebody that's willing to accept or willing to learn.
Having that learning
that
part.
Coachability is super important, and that is probably one of the biggest things I learned too out there is finding the right people. I think with anything that you do, any business, I mean, me, even myself right now in real estate, I have to find the right people that are going to help me get the job done. The Sosas help me get my marketing done.
Right.
And they're the right people, and now I need help. I need another agent, but I need to find the right agent. It's really important to find the right person, because morals have a lot to do with it. And somebody with crooked morals or the wrong intentions can definitely hurt your brand, your business, your store.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, because if you as a manager bring somebody on like that, that reflects
right
on you as the manager who accepted that person and fostered them and nurtured them, and then something bad happens. It's tough. It's really, really tough.
Who was your best hire, or what was that one employee that you hired that you helped really kind of mold or shape into that individual or that perfect employee?
So
I don't think there's such thing as a perfect employee.
There's no such thing as a perfect employee. No, never is. But I have one guy right now, Zach. Shout out to you, boy. But he's my perfect employee. Man, that guy is freaking awesome. But at the time, there was a guy named Chris who I brought on to the team.
Chris
Magliano.
Oh my God.
You remember him?
Yeah, dude.
Chris Magliano.
Shout out to you.
Yep.
I know he's on my social media too.
Yep. Super awesome cat, man. And I remember him coming in, having a hustler mentality, big ass dude. Played college football and was
a bouncer, big
bouncer at one
intimidating.
At one of the top clubs in Miami, at Blue Martini.
Yeah, Blue
Martini. But one of the coolest dudes, most down to earth dudes that you've ever met.
Right.
And to have somebody on the team who personality kind of breaks the stigma of what they look like is very interesting to me, because I look for those kinds of people, because those people usually connect better. And something about this guy is he was a good connector, and really finding something in common, and attaching to that, you find a way to care about somebody.
Right.
And I remember him
relate to them.
Yeah. And within a few months, he became a store manager and was competing with me. I remember that. Competing with me. So I'll never forget Chris Magliano, man.
Yeah.
Cool ass cat.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. Yeah, Diamond was definitely fun. I had some really cool employees too. Actually, just this last vlog that we just released today, right? Chris, one of my employees, he was actually number 2 in the market. I was number 1, and then Chris Rosetta was number 2. Well, he came to visit. He was here last week. First time in El Paso, so he had a good time. But he's one of those employees that I would say probably is one of those perfect employees that I found over there, just because he fit the role so perfect for what I wanted to accomplish. I wanted to be a powerhouse, and even though he had no sales experience, I only hired him. I legit only hired this guy because in the interview, like, he stopped me midway. He looks at me and he goes, "Manny, just give me a chance. Just give me a chance, man. Just give me a chance. Just give me a shot. Just give me a chance." I'm looking at him, I'm like, "All right, man, you're hired. Fuck it,
Yeah.
But I only did that because I went with my gut, and I felt a good vibe from this guy, and I felt like, even though he doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing, I saw the want and the will to learn, And within a couple months of breaking through his shell, because he's super shy, he became one of the top producers. You know,
Yeah.
it's just insane.
So something you just said is that you followed your gut.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that you said that.
I'm intuitive as hell, bro. Like,
Same.
For the last like 5-7 years, I could say that every decision that I've made up until this point has all been intuitive.
Yep.
You know, I follow my gut. I have to, because at the end of the day, I don't trust myself. You know?
Yeah.
Okay, I trust my gut more than
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
So, and to date, you know, I feel like I've been doing some good decisions and on the right path. So I definitely do believe in being intuitive. You know, I think it's.
I'm glad that you
important.
said that. You know, I remember I could never beat you, whether it was here or it was in Miami. Manny was number 1. I was freaking number 2, and I could never beat him. And I remember thinking to myself, there is something that he knows or something that he's doing that I'm not doing. And I remember asking you. I specifically remember asking you when we were about to go out to the Hard Rock, and that night I actually bet you. We bet on the country.
I don't lose.
But I remember this night very, very clearly, and I asked you, what is it? Like, what do you do? And something you said was, I read books. I said, I read books? What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't freaking read books. I don't read books. Like, what does that mean? And that stuck with me, man. That stuck with me. And ever since then, I follow my gut, man. I follow my gut because I knew that there was something about you that I couldn't figure out. What is it? And when you follow your gut instinct, you start to learn and pick certain things out. When you follow your gut, dude.
I think you stop ignoring the obvious.
Yeah.
Too, you know, because I think there's a lot of times where people will put themselves in a position or an environment that they don't want to be in, and they still decide to stay there or be there. And for me, I've realized that I have 100% control of my environment, of my life. So if I don't like somebody, or if somebody doesn't like me, I'm not a fighter. First of all, I won't start. You know, I don't do that. But I don't have to pretend or fake it. You know, like I don't have to be in that environment, and I don't have to put myself through a little show of acting. I just won't be around you. You know, that's just me personally, because I just don't need to. I don't need to put myself in that position.
For sure.
And knowing that and understanding that you have 100% control of your decisions, of your environment, you're in the fucking driver's seat. You know, that gives you even more freedom, I think, in the decisions that you make. Because it's like, if I fuck up, like, it's me, you know?
Dude,
I did that.
It trips me out. Like my mindset and my thought process is exactly the same.
Right.
I really feel that if you don't believe that you're in control of your situation, what's the point of even doing anything?
Right.
Why are you even gonna make a decision? Just let everything happen, and it's gonna go right by you.
Yeah.
Living in the driver's seat, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
I've never heard anybody else say that. Like at least from my peers, man. I've never heard anybody say that.
Yeah, it's something that I'm really happy that I just realized now. You know, before I was 50 years old, and I'm like, fuck, I could have controlled everything. You know. So talking about being in control now, talking about being able to be in that driver's seat. Let's talk about, you know, the progress now of your journey. You started, you know, no sales experience to learning some stuff, and then you got promoted out there to the East Coast. You learned a whole bunch. After that, you know, after Miami, what happened? What was that process like for you before you started? Obviously, your roofing / now construction job, which we're gonna get into.
Yeah.
But what happened after Miami? Because I know after Miami, you know, there was so much stuff, I think, that happens in businesses in general, just businesses that are trying to grow at a rapid speed. You know, at the time, Diamond Wireless acquired 150 stores in 1 month. Like, literally, 150 stores needed 150 new managers, needed
new employees,
like 450 to 800 new employees to run these stores.
Having to hire all
the training, the dropout rate that we're going through, the retention was so high. The retention rate was like freaking 90%. It was horrible. Like, everybody's just, it was like a fucking little training camp that you would go through for 3 months to learn, get paid hourly, and then you quit. You know, so it was really bad. And a lot of stores, you know, that we took over weren't doing so good. They weren't doing so hot. So what happened? What happened after, you know, you end up coming back, right?
Yeah, so I moved back from Miami. You make mistakes, you know. Everybody makes mistakes, and what you have to do is you have to learn from them, you know. And you know, I made a very dumb mistake while I was there, which caused me to lose my job. And that's where like your honesty goes into check, you know. Your honesty and your ego. Like, I got popped in the face with that shit, dude. I got popped in the face with doing things the right way. So I moved back to Las Cruces, confused, didn't understand why that happened to me, because so many people were doing the same thing that I was doing, and nobody got caught for it, or you know what I'm saying? And
I don't know what you're saying.
And it's but what I'm saying is just it's incredible, because you get popped in the face when if you let a little seed, a bad seed in you, take any sort of control of your life, it has the potential to ruin you and affect those people that are around you.
Right.
At the time, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal, but it ended up costing me my job. I ended up coming back to Las Cruces, and that's being completely transparent. You know, not a lot of people are willing to be completely open and honest with you. I have no problem doing that.
Right.
So it cost me my job. I moved back to Las Cruces. I remember being confused. I stayed in Miami for, I think, 2 months. I blew all my money. I went to the Bahamas. I vacationed. Man, I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Nick's Beach.
Yeah, all the time, and just lived life for a while, and spent all my money, and came back, realized what the heck I had done, and started. I hit reset button. I hit the reset button.
Before you hit that, I know there's a stigma, like, for sure in El Paso. You know, if you leave out of town and you come back, you're a failure. You didn't make it, you know? And what were some of those thoughts that were going through your head, aside from the confusion, you know?
For sure.
I know, because that's normal, you know, that there's nothing wrong with those feelings coming up. But how do you think feeling those feelings of confusion, of you failed, or those feelings, how do you think you use those feelings to kind of plan or prepare for your next move before you hit that reset?
Sure. So you definitely hit a low. So you know, when, you know, coming back, I'm like, damn, I'm back in Cruces. And Cruces is notorious for people leaving, coming back. They're like, oh, it happens all the time, just another person, you know. And that's how I felt, like, and I felt like, damn, like, I was the one who made it out of all my graduating class. I was the one who left, and I still don't have a college degree or anything like that.
Respect.
You know, so I was out there hustling, trying to make it happen for myself, and it was on its way. It was definitely on its way, and still is, I guess you can say. But you definitely hit a low, man. You hit I hit a low. Just didn't know what to do, and you know, I felt like I got caught in the routine of things, because I came back and I started working for another cell phone company, AT&T.
You went with what was comfortable.
What was comfortable, man, and because that's what I knew. And I mean, I would kind of try. I would half-ass it at work. I would go and I would half-ass everything. And it showed, you know, it really showed.
I don't think you were in it anymore.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It beat me down.
Wasn't in it.
It beat me down. It beat me down because I knew that what I did was wrong, and it was my mistake. And I felt ashamed. I felt like, if you ever read the book The Scarlet Letter, I felt like I was like, I had like the shame on me, you know? That's really what I felt like.
Right.
Was it like that? No. Now that I look back, I'm like, why am I being so dramatic?
Right.
You know, that, like, why am I making it such a big deal? Come back, you hit yourself square in the face, and you keep going.
I think too, like, one of my mentors, I just watched one of his videos he just posted, and I think it's probably the dopest thing that could happen is when you do hit that rock bottom, the only other place to go is up. You know, it can't get shittier than that.
Right.
And for you to be at that point where you're like, yo, it can't get shittier than this. Like, there's nothing really I have to lose. That, I think, is such an awakening moment for a lot of people, too. Because I've been there, I think, a couple times, you know, where I've had to hit reset and just, like, refigure my life out.
Yeah.
Right before I got my real estate license, that's exactly what I did. You know, and I took a gamble and I went into a career that I wasn't familiar with. But I just knew that I liked sales. And I knew I like to help people, you know.
Same.
I knew I liked if I could do both of those things, and it could make me happy, and I can make a lot of money doing it.
Good.
I mean, why not do that, you know? So, I think having that kind of awakening moment and being at that rock bottom where it's like, shit, the only other place I could go now is up, because you can't really talk any more shit after I've been all the way at the bottom. Just like Eminem, you know, when he's making fun of himself on 8 Mile.
Yeah.
You know, you leave everybody with nothing else to say when you're at that point.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think something that I heard or I read at one time was, you can't have a breakthrough without a breakdown.
That's true.
And
like
dang, man, that blew my mind when I heard that. Like, you can't have a breakthrough without having a breakdown. You can't have that next step without feeling like you ran into something and you hit yourself hard and you feel stuck or you feel scared. That should be an exciting moment. Right. You know, that should be an exciting moment because you're about to have a breakthrough.
And what do a lot of people do though? You know, because I know you've seen it too. You've seen people where they're at their lowest point, and it's like, just go a little bit more. You're there.
Push,
you know,
push.
You're so close. But a lot of people, I think, you know, the majority, 60-70% of the people, won't pass that breakdown. You know, they'll just let it beat them down and beat them down and beat them down. So what advice do you have for somebody that is going through that breakdown right now to get through that breakthrough?
That's tough, man. That's tough because you really have to do searching within. You know, you really have to find yourself within, and you know, you have to ask yourself, you know, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And break yourself down and really ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing. One of my mentors, he sent me this link and it basically gives you your why, and you have to understand why you are doing something.
Right.
And you know, going through that process of understanding my why is what helped me get through that breakdown. And because it got worse than just moving back and me doing half-assed work, but it didn't get worse for my mental situation. It got worse for my financial situation, which is a totally different
which has
breakdown.
a lot of effect on the mental situation.
Correct.
Too, you know?
And you know, a totally different situation, but finding out your why and really knowing, like, hey man, you're really doing this to help people. Don't forget that. Your life should be lived to help somebody else. You know, the more people you help, the more money you're gonna make.
Right.
And it's just it's the law of compensation or whatever you want to call it. You know, first you give, then you receive. There's law of reaping and sowing. Just depending on how you look at things, karma. You know, first
I actually posted a story.
Bad karma.
I posted a story yesterday. I had a closing yesterday and got a check. But every time I do get paid, like, I'm legit. Like, I look at this envelope, it says commission on it, and I'm like really like grateful. Like, I'm super grateful to just be in a position, for one, to help families out in one of the biggest investments that they're ever gonna make, and two, just to be part of that memory. That memory is gonna last a lot longer than that check ever is, you know. But getting that check at the end of the day just kind of makes me realize every dollar that I do make is a direct reflection of somebody that I'm helping, you know. So every family that I do help, I get compensated for it. And as realtors, I mean, we all do, you know, but I think the after effect of it, the long-term effect of it, is more rewarding than the monetary, for sure. You
have to think about it like that.
Yeah. And I think if you don't, you're probably not doing what you love, you know. I think there's a fine line between doing what you're doing to make a lot of money and not be happy, and doing what you're doing because you love it, and it's still making you a lot of money, but you're in love with what you're doing, you know. And I think there's a fine line distinguishing that. A lot of people don't see that, and that's why a lot of people are miserable, you know. That's why you do see, I know you know a lot of people with a lot of money, you know, and they're freaking
live a sad
miserable.
life, dude. Live a sad life.
So I think really understanding your why, you know, why you're doing it, what really makes you happy, and then figuring out how to monetize that after. Money follows, it doesn't lead, you know, and that's been the motto that I've been following for the last 3 years. And that motto for me has just been game changing, because focusing on, you know, everything but so much money. You know? It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those indirect correlations.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. It's like a hidden equation.
Yeah. So what happened from there is you know, I hit a rock bottom, and I started to ask myself the why. And I think it was kind of the same. I don't know how you felt moving back from Miami. I don't know what your feelings were when you moved from Miami back to El Paso. I'm sure they were somewhat similar. I know that they were a little bit different, but somewhat similar in the sense of like you're back. But people didn't understand why.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'll tell you this for sure. When I moved back, I literally was thinking 100% of myself and my goals. I got my license in Miami, and when I got my license, before I got my license, I put goals, you know? And it's crazy.
I was working on my license before you were working on yours.
Yeah, you were. you were talking to me about real estate because you were working with a builder, and I remember being in my Miami apartment playing with the ducks at the lake. And you're telling me about real estate, and you're like, you should get into it. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm figuring stuff out right now. This is after, you know, network marketing buy and everything. And I got my license, but I had a list of goals. And it's crazy that we're doing this right now, but I had a list of goals. One of them was to have the #1 real estate YouTube channel. One of them was to have a podcast.
Hell yeah.
You know, one of them was to become the first millionaire in my family. One of them was to become the #1 agent in the city. These were all huge goals, like goals that I was like, I don't even understand how real estate works, and I have these big ass goals, you know. But when I came to visit El Paso, I saw the growth, and it was a no-brainer for me. It was literally like it wasn't oh shit, I wonder what people are gonna think. It was more like damn, I have these goals, big ass goals. I just got my license in the city I don't know nobody in. I'm gonna have to start from scratch. But I'm coming here, the city's growing, my network's here, all my friends here, family's here. All my friends are in the age right now that they're buying houses.
Move back.
Like, I need to be here. This is the time to be here. And I think when you put the pride aside, when you put the, oh, what are people gonna think? Who gives a shit what they think, you know? This was one of the best decisions that I made, because at the end of the day, I know Miami's still there. You know, I've already gone 3 times, going on 4 times this year. You know, I could go any month. I could go every month if I wanted. But the whole point is, where am I building my legacy? Where am I building the growth? Where am I gonna build my brand, my name, you know? And for sure, hands down, my intuition told me, stay here.
Yeah.
And now what am I doing? My podcast. I got my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You know?
Helping a local business grow itself from within.
Exactly.
From within, yeah. So that's how I got into real estate too, is that, so that same thought process was crossing through my head, is that, you know, I'm back in Las Cruces. So what do you do with a bad situation? Is like, you flip it, man. So I decided to flip it. So I'm back. I've been back for a little while, working on my real estate license. Go through all my certifications, get certified to be a realtor in New Mexico. Working at T-Mobile at the time, and a good friend of mine, JR, introduced me to a builder, GL Green, which is they were one of the most prestigious custom home builders in Las Cruces. They're not in business anymore, but one of the most prestigious home builders in Las Cruces. You don't need to have your real estate license to work with a broker or to sell builders' homes in New Mexico. Right. So it's a little bit different there. So I didn't have to go through taking my test or anything. So I was able to start instantly. So I started working with this custom home builder. GL Green, dude, some of the craziest homes you've ever seen. I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to work on them, and So at first it started off as I was doing sales for them, so I was trying to sell their houses, and them being a prestigious builder in Las Cruces at the time, the market didn't support a 300, 400, 500, 600, 800
I remember
$1,000 houses.
Yeah.
$800,000 houses at the time. You look at and now I can look back and look at the market and understand everything like nothing. But at the time, the average price of a home's sale was between 165 to 185.
Yeah.
The
market.
I was in the wrong market.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the wrong market. I was in the market at the wrong time, working with the wrong. It just wasn't the right timing. It just wasn't the right time.
Vehicle.
Correct.
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to sit next to the guy who ran the show. And when I say run the show, I mean run the show. He would design everything. He was very, very proficient in AutoCAD. So I got to see how he would design all the homes. I got to sit in and take part in designing homes. He built this whole estimating system, and being a salesperson for them, I had to learn how to, navigate it, use it.
Right.
And I didn't go to college, so I don't know anything about Excel. Like, I'm looking at this spreadsheet like, holy smoke.
I self-taught myself. It took me like 3 years.
Yeah, so
I'm so horrible.
I sat next to this guy, Kelly Fort. I am eternally grateful for this guy. He's one of my mentors for sure. I talk shit with him on a daily basis. But Kelly Fort, I got to sit down next to this guy, literally read every email that he was sending. I was a part of pretty much every conversation. I got to listen to his phone calls. I got the chance to just kind of be like his little pet, and I got to overhear everything, and I learned so freaking much there. It was a commission-based job, so if you sell, you get paid. If you don't, you don't. I was getting paid a minimal amount for, a certain period of time, and then I cashed out. I sold a $400,000 house, and I helped design it with Kelly, and I'm like, hell yeah, I can do this. Let's do it. Take me off hourly. I want to be on commission. That pride kicked in.
Yeah.
I went 7 months without getting paid. I went 7 months without getting paid.
Holy shit.
I went 7 months without getting paid.
Fucking in real estate.
7 months without getting paid. Went shit broke, but I got to sit next to this guy.
Yeah. The knowledge was a lot more than...
My tuition was paid for in time. And credit card debt with time and credit card debt. But I would sit next to this guy. So he's Kelly. A little bit of background on this guy. So I think he has his MBA. I'm not sure if he has his MBA or not, but I know he's a civil engineer. So he's a PE civil engineer. So this guy is just smart up. He knows anything you talk to him about, he knows about it. It's incredible, and the homes he builds are incredible. I had the opportunity to just mirror what he was doing and copycat. And really,
so what did you do with that knowledge? Where did you take that, or where did you go with that?
So 7 months with no pay is tough. It doesn't matter who you are. I started working for another general contractor in Las Cruces. So me getting the opportunity to sit next to Cali and literally walk through these houses, and because he's an engineer, he's so into everything that I'm learning about how electrical is ran, how plumbing is ran, and why we need to do this, and how many what's the slope for the pitch of the roof, and all kinds of stuff. I got to learn all these things. So when I got to that point, a guy I went to high school with, he had his construction company, had a badass truck. It was attractive because, you see that the type, I got to see the numbers of what a real estate agent would make versus what the builder would make, and that kind of took me back and made me think that maybe I should be on the other side of things.
Yeah.
Because I can't sell these houses. Like something's wrong with me. So I started working for this other guy. He said he needed help. My knowledge comes from the ground up. So I learned foundation, framing, everything. So when it came time for him, Yes.
Could we get another round?
Excuse me.
We're
talking about how I started my business. Interesting stuff.
Interesting stuff. So we're getting back into it, picking up where we left off.
Yeah.
Are we recording?
Yeah, clap and then we'll do it.
Clap back.
This is our little marker for my marketing team, so they know what we're leaving off. Ready? So last we left off, we were talking. We've been talking a little bit about your journey,
Right.
Where you started. We haven't really got into the business part just yet. I think it's really important for people to know your journey, to kind of see where you started, where you got off, where your mentality used to be to where it is now.
Sure.
So, kind of summing up, a little bit about the story you just told us for the audience that's just tuning in. You started working at Diamond Wireless, selling cell phones. You moved out to Miami, learned a whole bunch as a manager out there. Had a lot of life experiences. Stuff didn't work out. You moved back to New Mexico with kind of your tail in between your legs,
Yep.
And kind of beating yourself up maybe, and which is totally normal. And now we're kind of talking about, having that breakthrough moment in your life where you were at the bottom, you were rock bottom, and you had that breakthrough. You were able to pass that and start seeing the success, start seeing the sun on the other side. So let's pick up where we left off. You just finished working with a builder. You got into real estate.
So I was working with one of the most prestigious builders at the time, GL Green. And when you're in real estate, so understanding real estate really comes down to construction. And I had no idea. And one of my favorite quotes is, hindsight is 20/20. So once you go through something, you can look back on it and understand how everything connects.
Right.
Knowledge
is power.
For sure.
Right.
For sure. So I was working for one of the top builders, or one of the most prestigious builders, and it just wasn't working out financially. So at the time I was on the real estate side trying to, get people into purchasing a custom home build with us. So I started working for a contractor. So like I said, he was a young guy who I went to high school with. He was a couple years older than me. Had some badass trucks. I just remember, damn, he's young and he's doing it. What is it? What the hell? What
is that motivation for you?
For sure.
Somebody you could look up to.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
being around your same age, right?
Absolutely. So I'm like, what is this guy doing? That he's like he can cruise up and roll up in a badass Raptor, and I'm over here in my 2002
Silverado?
Chevy, and
hey, tell him about the Silverado.
Oh my god,
we were in Miami once. He lived out in Miami. He moved out at the same time I did, and your starter
went out.
Your starter went out.
Couldn't get to it,
and me and this guy were the only friends that we had out there. So me with the mechanical experience that I did have. We probably had one tool. We probably had a screwdriver. It wasn't even the right tool that we needed to install a starter in a truck. But
we got it done.
I crawled under the truck. It was raining. It was nighttime. We were being rained on the whole time that we were working on the car. I couldn't see anything, and we were literally I was fixing the starter.
It was the day before Thanksgiving.
Blind,
the day before Thanksgiving,
shit.
or the day before Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving Day.
Definitely, yeah. That was crazy. That was a crazy time. So you see this guy that you went to high school with, having all the success.
Yeah, wow.
Has a lot of money, has a Raptor, has all the cool stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, what is he doing? So he posted on Facebook. He's like, hey dude, I need a personal assistant. Or he didn't message me, but he posted and said, looking for a personal assistant. I'm like, you know what? I mean, I'm not a personal assistant, but I can help. My background, my knowledge, I know construction. He had a construction company, so I understood the industry. I had the right knowledge, and not only did I have the right knowledge, but he was asking about buying this big old house. I took him serious, and I think me trying to get him into this house kind of opened his eyes about who I really was and what I was really capable of. So he brought me on the team, and So I started at the time. There was a huge roofing boom. That was when there was a ton of hailstorms. Yeah, like there was.
That hit El Paso hard
It
too.
was crazy, man. It was crazy what happened. Just a ton of roof jobs. So I came in and I'm like, I don't really know anything about restoration, but I can learn. So I came in and started learning. Okay, this is what something damaged looks like. I know what something new looks like and what it should look like, but what does it look like when it's damaged and needs to be? What is old? What is weathered? So I had to put myself in a position where I could learn. So I started working for this guy, and dude, it took off quick. Like I picked it up. I understood the industry. My sales background really came into play. It was a commission-based job. But this guy, I mean, he would take vacations and he'd be out of town, and you know, I'm here, you know, basically running this guy's business, and you know, it was tiring, man. It was super tiring. You all right there, buddy?
Yeah. Okay. The phone just fell.
There you go. So I was running this guy's business essentially, and the only thing that I really wouldn't do is write a check to the employees, you know.
Sign a check,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I specifically remember he took a trip to South America for like 2 months, and I'm out there just grinding my ass off. But it was fun, man. I loved it. I loved it because I like seeing something just completely change. So he really turned me on to the whole restoration side of things, and you know, seeing something transform from something bad to something good, or something old to something new.
Somebody destroyed to bringing it life, you know.
Yeah, to bringing it life. So I really took hold of the industry of the restoration side of things, and thankfully he was a general contractor as well, and I owe a lot to this guy. Because I learned so much while working there. When I was working for GL Green, like I said, I got to see how these spreadsheets were made, contracts, and this guy was missing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to help. Like I knew what I was doing was good, but I could do more than just that. And I wanted to, and you know, I tried to kind of think of ways. I mean, he was set up, man. He knew what he was doing, but I felt that I had a different perspective on things because of where I had just come from. You know, I came from someone who's a professional engineer, a certified civil engineer. You know, and when you're dealing with somebody like that, they are meticulous. They calculate everything out.
Right.
That's what an engineer does. They're numbers. They're a numbers guy. So I just absorbed the hell out of it because I sat next to this guy all day, and. You know, when I was working for this guy, I wanted to implement these things because I got to sit in on conversations where, when I was working for GL Green, on how to negotiate with our vendors. I got to sit in on these conversations as part of my job, but I mean, I feel so lucky.
So in essence, you got to see a lot of the back end, a lot of the front end. You got to get the entire perspective from your previous employer.
Right.
You know, this isn't something that you just met one guy and he showed you the whole world.
Correct.
You were taking pieces of jobs that you were doing that were getting you to those breaking points sometimes, but you were taking all the knowledge, you were taking all those pieces and combining them and putting them together from
building my machine, you know, building my machine. And yeah, I think that's the perfect way to describe it. So from taking this information, you know, from GL Green and learning how to calculate everything out, there was so much that I wanted to implement for our. I felt like it, and that's something that I can look back on now and really like be proud of. Is everywhere that I've worked, I felt that it was my business and my company, and it
took
was
ownership.
and it was me. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. Ownership,
Mm-hmm.
ownership. Even when I worked Apple tech support over the phone, and I was
Like my phone.
I was 17, 18 years old. You know, I
Yeah.
thought I was like a freaking cool ass kid, and I remember, you know, telling people, you know, if you need help with your phone, like it. So everywhere that I've ever worked, I felt like that ownership, and I've always wanted truly kept my business's best interest at heart and not my own.
Right.
You know, and when I was working for him, I wanted to implement all these things but it wasn't my dollar to spend. And I didn't realize how expensive things can
Yeah.
really freaking
Shit's
get.
expensive,
Shit
yeah.
can get expensive, man. You know, so I was working for this guy and wanted to implement all these things, and I felt like I was being neglected almost because he was out taking vacations, and you know, he would be out mashing in the desert in his dirt bike. You know, mashing in the desert in his dirt bike, and I'm trying to get a hold of him because I'm trying to purchase something or
Running his business.
yeah, I'm running his business. He's out dicking around, and I don't have access to these things, and it was tough for me to work. And that's a tough environment to work in.
Yeah.
But never did I ever, you know, cross the line of taking that foot to the next level and saying, hey, well, you know what? I'll just do it myself. I wasn't allowed to do that because it wasn't my dollar to spend.
Right.
You know, I couldn't make those actions happen. So one day I literally just decided, like, hey, I understand how to restore things. I have all the right contacts. When I started working for him in his business, he was buying material. If you know anything about contracting or anything like that, or purchasing and selling anything, if you know anything about that, you buy from a wholesaler or a vendor and then you sell it. You don't buy from a retailer, so you don't go buying from Home Depot, you don't go buying from Lowe's. Those are places that, you know, customers go to. That's not where you go. That's not your manufacturer per se.
Right.
So you got to go directly to the source. So I was able to implement those things into his business, and I remember seeing thousands of dollars that I saved for him, and me not really see like a compensation or anything like that, which was okay. It was okay with me because I was like, oh hell yeah, he's in it to win it with me. We're gonna work together, which that's what it was working towards, because obviously I was doing something right. I mean, if he's taking trips and doing shit, man, like something was going right.
The business was running.
I decided to do it for myself. I was sick of having to answer to somebody. I knew the potential that this could possibly have. I decided to take a leap of faith, and from one day to the next, I started looking at names and what I should do. I said, hey, you know what? We had a conversation. We're not going to work together anymore. And that was that. Me being the hustler that I am, I don't mind going and knocking on somebody's door and saying, hey, how are you? You know, it's almost like pitching when somebody's walking by.
Yes, it's hustle.
Stopping
It's
them
hard
in
work,
their
yeah.
tracks, bro. That's tough. That's tough. So I had no problem doing that. I was already doing it already. So I just went and did it for myself. And I remember specifically, it was almost like Miami. Everything happens so quick. You don't have time to think. You just have time to react. Just go. And I specifically remember there was this lady that we were about to do a job for, or the first lady that we're doing a job for. I had met her. I went door knocking in this neighborhood. I met this lady. She said that she actually needed her roof done. I was in process. I didn't even have my business name picked out or anything. I didn't have anything set up yet. So I said, okay, well, I showed her, you know, hey, this is how you look up somebody's license. This is how you look up all these different things. And I'm like, oh shit, how am I going to perform this? You know, how am I going to get this done?
Okay,
how am I going to get this done?
So you parted ways with
yeah.
this guy.
Uh-huh.
You decided to be your own boss. You didn't have the truck that you
Nothing.
needed. You didn't have the material. You didn't have workers.
No.
You're just knocking on doors
So
and figuring it out later.
Right, right. So the interesting part about it is that, you know, when I was working for the restoration contractor, I took it upon myself to go and learn how to work on the field, and you know, it's one thing to be a general contractor that can just say, hey, you know, we need stucco work done, we need a roof done, but I put myself in a learning situation where I would go out, I would I'm darker than what I am now. Darker than what I am now. I would go out there, I'd bust my ass in the hot ass sun, and I put in my time. You know, I put in my time, learned how things are, how things work, how to install things properly.
So talk to me about that first experience then. So you've obviously learned a lot. You took all the stuff that you learned, you implemented it. You had no experience running the business as far as your own business.
Right.
But you got your first job. You know, you got this lady saying she needs a new roof.
Yeah. So
what did you do from that point?
So the thing about it is, I already felt like I was running my own business, because I was running the crews. I was out on the job sites. I was already doing it. And I remember basic principles that, you know, your parents teach you when you're a kid is if you want to get promoted. I remember my mom and dad sitting me down. If you ever want to get promoted, you got to do what that next person would do. So you know, whatever you want in life, you got to start doing that before you get rewarded for it, and it becomes real. So I operated like that, and I operated as if it was my own business, and ran things as if it was my own business, because you have to take that ownership, and you have to give a shit, and you have to care.
Right.
You know, so taking the time to understand quality and fusing it, you know, fusing the technical side of things with the side of dealing with clients and dealing with customers, I fuse those two together.
Right. But I guess my question is more or less, what did you do? This lady said, fix my roof. You had no crew. You had nothing. What were the steps that you did? How did you make that first deal happen?
Right. So from being on the job site, you get to know people, and you know, just expanding your network at all times really pays off, and really caring about who's around you pays off. And I will say this, because if you don't care about the people, about your workers, or the guys that are there actually doing the hard work, you know, those are real people. They have real families, and if you don't take the time to get to know them, you know, it'll show. But if you do take that time, and you do put in that good energy, and you do put in that care for somebody else, it'll come back. And I specifically remember that they put me in touch with the crew. They said, hey, you know what? Here's a good crew. We like working for you. They essentially felt like I was the boss. They felt I owned the company. They didn't think that, but that's what they felt. You know, because I was running the projects, telling them what they needed to do. I was their boss. So to them, they're like, oh yeah, go talk to them. Go talk to these guys. These guys will be able to do it for you. And the interesting thing is from one day to the next, I called them up. They say, hey, because people don't just work for anybody. You know, they have to, in this construction game, in this construction industry, you have to put in your time, and you have to get to know these people.
Right. You
have to know them. And they put me in touch with the right guys. And it just so happened that I knew that crew already. I knew that crew from being in Home Depot, talking with them, and just being...
From networking.
A real person. Just being... Right. And I don't even consider it networking. It's just really like being a genuine person. I don't really necessarily consider networking. I'm just talking and enjoying people's company and caring about those people, and that is really like true networking.
Right.
So they were able to get on the job site. We were able to agree upon an amount. I already knew the rates of what things should be because of the spreadsheets and everything that I had already understood and took the time to learn. Everything just came into place so quickly. And it's been a wild ride over the last year. Our first job, we completed it in 2 days. I used all of my savings. I had $7,000 saved up in the bank account. I spent all my money on buying the material, on paying out the labor.
Because in this type of job, you have to buy your material before you get paid.
Correct.
You get paid after the job is done.
Correct. Now that we have a good reputation and people know what we're doing and the quality of work that we bring, we are fortunate enough that we can ask for deposit, and now we don't take so much liability on, but at the time you have to risk it.
Yeah. So what was that risk like? What was that going through your mind? Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs that I've had on this show, you know, have been in that same point where they're starting, you know, Juice Jerry. You have a bunch of people that used every dollar they had to make something work. And there's always that risk of it not working, you know? So those $7,000 that you had, essentially starting your business, your roofing business, you basically funded your first roof on your own, not knowing if it was gonna
follow through or not. Like, who knows? Yeah. You know? It was definitely one of those roller coaster moments, you know, that you just throw your hands up and like, okay, let's go for this ride.
Right.
That's the same feeling that you get. You know, that's the same feeling that you get, that rush of adrenaline of like, dude, I just did this. I can't believe that.
Holy fucking work.
I can't believe that. And everything's going through smooth. You know, the lady was happy and everything. And, you know, we were able to do right by her. And this lady, she had actually just been taken advantage of by a contractor. A contractor wrote her out a check for $27,000. Or $26,000. She wrote a check to a contractor. It was at that time where the whole hailstorm stuff was still going on. That contractor took those $27,000, deposited it in his bank account, took that money out, and said, "See you later." Didn't leave money, didn't leave material, didn't leave her roof torn off. Like, he did nothing and took $27,000.
How common is that, like, in this roofing?
It's scary, dude. It's really, really scary. Well, it's really scary.
I think it's scary too. Cities seeing that type of hailstorm or any type of storm that affects a lot of houses or cars or whatever in general, and you just see a flood of businesses from out of town coming to the cities. What advice do you have for people using those companies? Are those companies that you should be using, or should you try and stay local? Just because, you know, the type of job, the reputation that they built in the city.
Yeah, so first off, I would definitely say, first things first, make sure they're local. And the reason I say that is because when it comes time for warranty, or God forbid something happens to a roof or whatever, there's a time where there's warranty issues. These fly-by-nighters, dude, they just take your money and then they're gone the next day.
What'd you call them?
Fly-by-nighters.
Fly-by-nighters.
Fly-by-nighters. These people just come and take your money and then they're gone.
Yeah.
So they're here for the quick buck. You know, so I would say definitely make sure that somebody is local. Different states have different ways of looking up if somebody's a licensed contractor. Anytime that I deal with a client, I take the time to actually show them how to find out if somebody's a licensed contractor or not. And then I also show them how to calculate how much their job should cost. So I take the time to educate my clients before we do business. So that way they can make an educated decision. And if your contractor isn't willing to do that, then you may want to look for somebody else, you know?
Yeah.
You may want to look for somebody else. And I think that's something that separates us because I'm willing to take that extra step.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest struggles or lessons that you've run into? First of all, how long have you been in business?
So we've been in business for 1 year. Last month, the month of June.
So just
June
1
9th.
year.
1 year.
Yeah, just 1 year.
1 year we've been.
And I remember talking to you on the phone while you were working with the other contractor.
Yeah.
I remember you talking to me on the phone while you were working with the builder. I remember you talking to me on the phone when you were telling me that you're gonna do your own thing. And I think what's crazy is, for me, hearing, because it wasn't always face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
It's a lot on the phone. But I think hearing the confidence that you had especially from you coming back to Miami, because I remember coming to visit and we hung out.
Yeah, we hung out.
But I remember hearing you, and you
that.
were lost. You know, I remember seeing that and hearing that. And then I remember you getting to that point where you decided to do your own thing. You were super confident. What are some of those struggles that, even though, you know, as confident as you are, as much faith as you have in your business, in yourself, what are some of those struggles that you had to run into starting your business? Because it sounds to a lot of people listening like you jumped into something that you were just, you know, picking up as much as you could, and then decided to just go full on into something that you weren't familiar with maybe a year ago or 2 before?
Well,
right?
at that time it was what 3 years. So I worked for the builder for about 2 years,
Right.
and I worked for the other contractor for about a year and a half. So I mean I had 4.5 years of experience
Right.
before. You know, now we're coming up probably about 4.5 years of experience that I have under my belt of general construction. And some of the toughest things that you face. Are you asking what the challenges
You
that
did.
I faced?
Yeah, you in roof rescue. What are some of the biggest struggles that you faced starting your business?
Starting
that you ran into.
So
you know?
so starting the business in our city, the contractors are. I mean, it's a small city, so everything is word of mouth. So you have to do a good job, or if you do a bad job, it's gonna spread like wildfire, and you're ruined. You're done.
Reputation's everything.
Everything. So one of the toughest things that I had was that I faced was I'm a young face. You know, I'm a young face in a city of old people where everybody already knows each other.
Yeah.
And
You have 150 people, right?
yeah, you have 150,000 people. 150,000 people. So everybody already knows somebody.
Right.
And I mean that's difficult. It's funny that you say that because you're actually part of the reason that our business has had so much success the second half of our I guess life.
Second 6 months.
Yes. So you put out some information that was talking about ORWs. For those of you who don't know what ORWs are, it's every real estate transaction has an inspection that's done. And when that inspection is done, the inspector gives the paperwork to the buyer who's buying the home, and they either have the option to object to buying it, which is the O, object to buying it, request to have something done before they buy it, or they say, hey, I know this is messed up, I'll buy it anyways. And they sign that waiver. So that's what the W is. And I said, holy smokes, why am I not targeting realtors? And I already had friends who were realtors because when I was working for GL Green, you want to drive as much traffic in as possible. So who deals with people who are trying to buy houses? Realtors. I remember before I left GL Green, there was a guy by the name of Michael Carpenter. Another one of my mentors, Michael Carpenter, freaking awesome guy. I was shit broke working for GL Green, negative in my bank account, literally negative like $3,000. Like holy shit, what am I about to do? I asked him if I could take him to lunch, and I said, I'll pay, don't worry.
How's your card going through? What bank do you have? This is crazy.
This is what
negative $3,000 and you're still taking people out to lunch.
Yeah, this is Wells Fargo.
How's your bank thinking?
Yeah. Negative. I was literally negative $3,000, and I take Michael Carpenter out to lunch. So I said, you know what, man, I have a connection with realtor. I told him my situation, and I looked to him for mentorship. I asked him like, hey, what do you think? Give me advice, and he knew. I know for a fact that he knew that I was hurting. He knew that I was hurting for cash. But he still accepted my offer, and that meant a lot to me at the time, that he accepted my offer of me taking him to lunch. And it's funny because now that we've come full circle, we actually set up a meeting with real estate agents and informed them on how we can help through the real estate transaction process, through the ORWs, and it came full circle. I do business with realtors now, and I specifically have done business with Michael Carpenter, and that negative $7 turned into something crazy.
Yeah. He connected you with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's important too, especially in our industry. Like, you should have been hitting out realtors since the day you started, you know?
Yeah.
And that's something that you learned, I mean, off of conversations that you and I have had and stuff like that too. How now, talking a little bit about 2018, you know, the day and age that we're in right now, social media, how have you utilized social media to really grow your brand? Because you starting off, you were competing against brands that were already, well known.
Right.
Companies that were already well known, roofers. And for you, you were a little fish in a big pond, even though you're in a small city.
Yeah.
So, kind of talking about that, what... Wait, oh shit. Social media. How are you utilizing social media? How did you start utilizing social media? Because I remember when you did start, when you said that you're going to start and, take this business and you're going to run with it and you're going to figure it out later. I remember seeing you so much on social media, and at the time I had just gotten my real estate license out here. And I was looking at you and I'm like, fuck man, this guy's doing a shitload of videos. He's all over social media. I want to do that, but I'm too shy, or I felt at the time like maybe I need to figure real estate out first before I get on social media.
That's crazy. It's crazy that you bring that up, because something that set me apart, I shit you not, is Facebook Live. Facebook Live definitely set me apart.
Facebook Live.
Yeah, no, seriously, my audience would remember me from my Facebook Lives. Even my lady over here, she would and that was before.
Is that how you found Chris? you found Chris on Facebook Live?
Oh.
Yep. No. Farmers only.
no. But really, it's true. I mean, before we were together or anything, I was working for the other contractor. I said, hey, I'm out here live. This is what we're doing. Just talking to people, telling them what the heck I'm doing, and people would remember that. People would remember that, and maybe somebody would share the video, or my woman would share the video or something like that, and people, it was a trickle effect. It was a trickle effect that happened through social media that I never anticipated.
Right.
But it stuck in people's brains because that's where people are at, is on their phone.
Yeah.
They're on their phone.
And at the time too, I think you caught it at a time where it was just not really seen too
Nobody
much.
was utilizing.
Nowadays, I can tell you this, like, for sure, I'm very confident in saying that I'm the first realtor to do social media and to do it at this extent that we're doing it. But I will also say that there's now a ton of realtors that are doing it, which is, it's
fantastic.
It's fantastic.
You are a game changer.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's amazing. But I think catching it at that right time too, where you're able to really separate yourself and really get distinguished by a lot of people because of that recognition. I see it too, with the podcast and with the vlog and just the social network in general, marketing that we're doing. I run into people, and I'll run into people all the time that I've never met, and just, hey, you do interviews, don't you? Or hey, you do something on Facebook.
No, that shit happens to me too, man.
and that is what I think a lot of businesses are still lacking right now is that social media exposure, the social media marketing. And even in real estate, I talk to a ton of agents, and agents are always asking me for advice on what to do or how to get more leads or how to get more business. And I always say, how many videos are you doing on social media? How many videos are you putting your face behind? Because you can say your name and you can have a really cool, fancy, catchy name, but if you don't have that face behind it, nobody's gonna ever recognize you, see you, or know who you are.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you have to recognize, and you have to be willing to do it.
Right.
Not everybody's willing to do it, and it's not for everybody, and not everybody is going to be in front of a camera. Some of my some of the partners that I work with are, I have Diego that I work with, and Martin that I work with, that are, partners, and we work on the daily basis together, but you never see them in front of a camera.
Right.
I really think that what we're doing is something that's new, and it's something that's still untapped.
Mm-hmm. I agree, man. I think it's just so much potential, and there's so many people that know it but aren't doing it still, And to what you just said too, I agree. It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
I think really having the self-awareness enough to know your strengths, know your weaknesses. Like me personally, I just love attention. I will get in behind this camera like any day of the freaking minute, and I'll I'll say whatever I need to say, even if there's nothing to say. I don't know what to say. I'll just get behind the camera and see what pops out. Because I love the attention. I love it. But I have other friends that are realtors, and they're like, that's not me. I don't want to be behind the camera. I'm too shy, or I don't want to. I'm antisocial. I don't want to do it. And that's 100% fine. But finding your niche in this social media world that we're living in right now is super important, because even though you don't put your face behind it,
you can still
which I think is the most powerful.
Yes, it is.
But even if you don't do that, even if you don't want to do that as a business owner, you still need to find
a way to utilize
a way to maximize and utilize it, because it's just such an underpriced market that hasn't been tapped into.
Yeah, for sure.
So many businesses that could be doing a lot better if they were to just document what they're doing daily. Show the clients coming in, show the clients trying on the clothes, show the clients testing your product, show the clients seeing the results after you completed the construction. Those things go a long way. Yeah, those things go a lot longer.
For sure.
So I think that's really important. And I saw you doing that on social media, and I remember even before I started doing social media, I drove out to Las Cruces to pick your brain about social media, remember?
Yeah, for sure.
And you and Oz is one of your business partners and super knowledgeable in social media as well.
That's my boy.
And I was picking his brain, and he was like, "Oh, you need to do this, and you need to have a video." And the next week, I hired Sosa. That's when I was literally looking for somebody to help me.
You gotta surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
You have to surround yourself with the right people, and there's so many people. There's so many people that I look back on, and like you, it's really all about relationships. And I think that's something that people often get twisted, is that don't forget that it's about the relationship and how you can truly help somebody in need or fulfill something that they're wanting. For us, it may not necessarily be what they need per se. Like, so they don't need a phone anymore. It's like, hey, you know what, I'm looking at getting a nicer house.
Yeah.
Or hey, I'm looking at adding granite in my house, or I'm thinking about remodeling our property. And I think it all comes back to just the relationships and giving a shit about who's in front of you.
Yeah, definitely, bro. What fast forward to now. You're a year in last month, right?
Last month.
What are you doing now? Where has the business come? How far have you guys come? Who's on your team? We talked about, it's super important, and it's very hard to find the right people.
Right.
Do you feel like you've reached that point right now?
Yeah, so we're kind of in the middle of a transition. So we started off just doing roofs and stucco and that kind of stuff. But with my knowledge and my background, I wasn't utilizing it correctly, or maybe not necessarily correctly, but I wasn't utilizing it to its full potential.
Right.
So now, making the right connections, working with the right people. I have Martin, who's on my team, and I have Diego, who's on my team, and I have Zach, who's on my team. And when you have a group of guys that are on the same mission with the same morals and want to do right, not only by the customer but by each other. There's a lot of problems that come when you have your own business, and maybe I face different problems than what other people have faced, but recently I faced an issue where one of the employees that I had, he was actually my finance guy. So business owners everywhere, make sure that you double check your finances often, because you will catch things.
I think you still need to be a part of that.
You need to be a part of it, and you need to look. Always be aware of your finances, and keeping track of where things are going and why they're going there. Unfortunately, I've caught certain things, and we've had to, let go of better, because you get rid of the mole, and once you get rid of the mole, you can live life full steam ahead.
Right.
Because now you don't have that person holding you back. It was to the point where this employee wasn't only just writing himself extra checks, but the attitude that he had and that he had in this whole system was affecting everybody around him. And me being one of them, Zach being one of them, Oz being one of them. So it was affecting the group and how the team performed together.
Mm-hmm.
it messed up the fluidity of it, and it was that little bad seed, you know. And sometimes when you get rid of that bad seed, things will kind of take itself to the next level.
Yeah.
We've been working with realtors lately, and it's interesting to see how other people will pick up where somebody left off and just run with it. And I have Zach, who's coming on board, taking over certain duties that this guy was doing, and is actually making such a huge difference that I should have been doing this a long time ago. You know, I should have been doing, and this is something recent that's happened.
Yeah. And I think too, I mean, so that you don't beat yourself up so much, I think every business owner has to go through that. You know,
For sure.
You're gonna have those bad hires.
And you know what? The way I see
the
it,
people that you thought were friends. You know.
Yeah, and the way I see it is, that was my karma, or that was my law of compensation that came back on me. Maybe it hit me. It definitely affected me in a way huger amount. But that's a good lesson to learn, and it's good to know that something can come full circle.
Yeah.
You know?
'Cause that's life.
It's life, bro.
Well, fuck you.
Full circle. It's a full circle. It's a full circle.
Yeah.
But the good thing is you know, have a forgiving heart. Don't have a bad heart. And just like learn from situations, and just keep your heart in the right place, and your life will go good. Follow that gut instinct. If you keep your heart in the right place and you follow your gut instinct, obviously you want to plan as much as you can. You'll make it for sure.
Yeah.
I have a 4-step process that I consider to be my mantra for making something happen, or acquiring a goal that you have set before yourself. So first you have to think it. You have to think it into existence. If you want something to happen, you want you to hit a goal, you have to think it into existence. Then you have to talk it into existence. You have to say it out loud. Then you have to plan it, and you go and do it.
Yeah.
That's my 4-step process.
Which is the most important of the steps.
Yep.
Which is the most important of those 4?
Without one, like, so the go and do it, I would say is the most important.
I think so too.
The go and do it, because sometimes you don't have the full plan.
Yeah.
And that's something that
I think too, what a lot of people misinterpret is that law of attraction, you know, or being intuitive. People will misinterpret that for, I just have to think it and shit's gonna happen, you know, like the universe will bring it.
You gotta do it.
There's so much more action that has to come behind that. And you're one of those examples too, you know, like you had no experience, you went and learned, you got dirty, you decided to be your own boss, and then you still got dirty, you know. There's no stopping that learning, you know.
No, for sure.
And I think the most important thing that you did, because you could have continued to be in that slump, you could have continued to work for somebody else, but having that initiative to want to more for yourself, to know that you deserve better, and then to go after it and actually fucking execute on it, that's really, you know, what separates a lot of people. That's why you're on the show.
Yeah.
You know, because you went out and you did it.
Yeah.
And you're doing it still. You know, you're still.
I hope so, man.
I could say, and I'm pretty sure you'll agree with me, you're still learning right now.
Absolutely.
Right? You're a year in, and you're now rebranding yourself
Yep.
as a now construction
company Yep.
instead of a roofing company.
Exactly.
Because of all the knowledge that you made. So that's really cool, man, for you to come from that point in your life where you hit rock bottom to then deciding, you know what, I deserve better. I need more for myself. And that's really cool, because you don't see a lot of stories like that, but the people that you do hear from, you know, it's good to hear that back end story on how hard it actually was.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but something that I will let every person who's considering being a business owner.
It's exactly my next question. What advice would you have for them?
Is, yes, you are a business owner. Yes, you get to make your own schedule. But you run on somebody else's time. You run on your client's time. You work for them. So you will always work. If you don't have a heart of service, you're not gonna make it.
That was a golden nugget for everybody, right? Even myself. That's so true, though. That's really good,
that's what it comes down to, having a heart of service.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think a lot of people miss that. You know, That's crazy, man. You know, ending that note, you know, lessons that you've learned, you've gone over some of them, you know, hiring the right people. What's next right now for your construction business? You're rebranding, so you're gonna be changing your name?
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible. There's just so many different ways that you can attack. You know, now that I have so much more understanding, there's just so many ways to attack that. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure yet. There's different options that we're kind of tossing around and you know, looking at doing some flips. We, you know, put some offers in on some houses, and you know, building some more relationships and getting certain personnel ready for certain aspects of the business. I am my woman is getting ready to get a real estate license. Who actually knows I owe so much to her, but she's getting ready to get her real estate license.
Yep. Over there, Guel, New Mexico.
Yes. So there's a lot of different ways that this can go, specifically because of partnerships, relationships, networking that you have.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I see it is, I want to build the future of Las Cruces and restore the past.
This is the motto.
Yep. Build the future.
That's going on the black truck.
Yep.
Right on the door. That's badass, man. Talking about that mentality, you know, you going back a little bit. I don't know if we were live when this happened, but we talked a little bit about our past. You know, working at Verizon and selling cell phones, and you asking me what was I doing, and I told you to read some books. You know, how has self-development and reading really helped change your mindset and build your mindset?
That's crazy. So I didn't start reading until I was already back in Las Cruces and started working for the builder. Actually, I mean, the builders that own the company, they're younger guys. I mean, they're in their mid-30s, you know, so they're young guys, and I'm like, holy shit! If you've been to this guy's house, he has a $1.7 million mansion in Las Cruces, and if you have been to any house in Las Cruces that's over $500,000, you're like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that holy shit type of moment for myself, you know, and I picked their brain and asked them, what do you do? They said the same thing, read books. So Oz, my boy, he's like, I said, dude, I need to read a book, man. I don't know what to read. I said, I hate reading. Managing Oneself by Peter F. Duckert. You got to learn about yourself. That's the first book that I would recommend anybody to read is Managing Oneself. You do reflection. Once you understand how you learn, run with it. Run with it, because it's never going to stop. The only investment that's really going to last is the investment that you do in yourself.
100.
If you lose everything, your knowledge doesn't go.
Yeah, you
Your
don't
knowledge
lose
doesn't
it
go. You don't
unless
lose
you
it.
smoke a lot of crack.
Uh-oh.
You lose it?
Yep. Smoke a lot of crack.
Yeah. No, but that's true. I mean, the biggest investment you can make is in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I know for sure just this year, some of the best investments that I've made that have been a couple of $1,000s are some of these out-of-town trainings that I've taken with
Yeah.
Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, I'm going to one 2 weeks from now. I'm going to Nashville.
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, I'm going
I might
to
go
Nashville.
with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to New York tomorrow, so
Yeah, going to
I
Nashville.
might be catching up on some work when I get back.
Yeah, going to Business Con and learning how to serve my people better.
That's what it's all about, man. And that's cool that you're still growing. You're still, you can never be on at the top of your game ever. I don't care who you are.
Yep.
There's always room for growth.
Always gonna grow.
Always room for knowledge, So that's really cool, man. And I'm really excited, for the people that are watching live right now and the people that are listening on iTunes to hear your entire story, because I think, coming from the ground up, coming from where you came from, and actually just taking the initiative, to learn something new and create a business out of it that's literally, giving you so many different outlets right now
Options.
that you have no idea where you even fucking
Options.
go.
I don't know what I want to do yet. There's so much that I want to do. It's just what I want to do first. You know, flip houses, build houses. There's so much, man. There's so much to do. There's so much to do. I'm excited for life.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited for life.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for you, bro. We've been good friends, and I've seen, mentally where you've come from to where you're at now, and you are definitely somebody that I admire and I keep in my circle because I know we've been on that same mentality.
Yeah, that same way for a long time,
bro,
dude. It's been crazy
just seeing each other. We both came from
the same place,
the bottom,
left
and came back and really have started to see some success.
Same time frame, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is crazy, and I always trip out too, like when I hear this rapper went to school with this other rapper, and it's like, how the fuck did like all you guys have class together and like there's 6 famous people?
They all do.
Mauro just says what's up right now.
Mauro, what's up?
Mauro, what's up, brother?
We were talking about Diamond right now, so Mauro's one of the big dogs out in Verizon.
Mauro.
Yeah, Mauro was definitely a good teacher.
My God.
You got 3 diamond cats here.
Yep.
We got Sosa, Chris, and Manny. That's funny.
Yep.
But yeah, man. I mean, listening to your story, listening to your journey, I really, feel that you have a lot of success coming your way. You have a lot of growing coming your way still, and you have a lot of learning. But I think it's really gonna take you places, especially with the ambition that you have. Talking about that ambition, talking about that motivation, do you think that's something that you kind of have to be born with, or is that something that you can be taught?
I think it's something you can be taught. Maybe it's not something that somebody teaches you or writes it on the whiteboard, but life will teach you that. A situation will teach you that. Going through bullshit will teach you, and I think the ambition part of it comes from life. It comes from life, that desire to either beat out the next person or get to the next level. Mm-hmm. Comes from experience. I think, in my opinion, I think it comes from experience. Some people are born with it, but once something that I've always done is if there's any little piece or of something that I like, or if there's any sort of hope, I'm gonna attack the shit out of it and be optimistic as hell and figure out a way to make it work. Problem solving.
Yeah.
So really, I think ambition will come. It'll come for sure.
Yeah.
Whether it's through a situation, or maybe you get married, or maybe you have a kid, and those types of things cause you to take your ambition to the next level
and grow up. Yeah.
And that's what's so exciting about life, is we have all that in front of us.
Yeah, that's true. Any circumstance. And like, to kind of go on to that, like one of the trainings that I just stepped away from or came back from a couple weeks ago was Grant Cardone, and he really just woke me up because he was talking about money, and he's always talking about money. A lot of people don't like that, because a lot of people feel like it's not all about money, and it definitely isn't.
It's not.
But he really spoke some words that woke me the fuck up. He said, if you have $25,000 in your savings account, you're already broke. If you have $50,000 in your savings account, you're already broke. You're one cancer treatment away from losing everything. And that really spoke volumes to me, because even though it's not about money, even though all those things, that monetary thing is not important, when it comes down to problem solving, some of the biggest problems can only be solved sometimes with money. So getting your money right, having your mentality right, having that foundation right, and being ambitious enough and being optimistic enough to see when there is talent and when there is opportunity and going after it, I think is something that a lot of people don't have or won't ever see. But it's really about taking that risk, putting that last $7,000 in to start that business and risk losing everything and having zero.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what's the worst that could happen? You have zero. You can't be any more zero than that, You
can't even be. You
can
can't be more
negative.
zero than zero.
If you have Wells Fargo, you can go negative 3,000. Still take somebody out to lunch.
Make it happen, baby.
Yeah, man. I mean, it really comes down to just, setting the right expectations, setting the right goals, and having that attack, having that follow through with it, which is what you've done, man. So props to you, bro. I really,
Appreciate it, man.
I'm really excited to see where you go, where you take this business, and congratulations on the success that you and your team have already been having out in New Mexico. I think it's really something exciting to see. Where can people right now listening find you on social media? What are your pages? What are your handles?
So you can find me at on Facebook, Chris Chavez, or Roof Rescue. I think it's Roof Rescue NM on Instagram.
We'll double check that.
Yeah, we'll double check that. Post a link somewhere. But there will probably be another channel to come or something.
Yeah.
Eventually, but we'll see. Well, we have some ideas brewing.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll come out and do some work with you guys.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully we'll end up doing even a follow-up episode to see where you're at in your second year. You just hit a year. Congratulations on that. So I wish you all the best of success,
Thank
man.
you, man.
Last question. Just want to end with this. I know you and your lady come to El Paso quite a bit, or maybe not as quite a bit, but what are some of your favorite places to visit out here in the city?
I love to go to, of course, go to the Chihuahuas games, but one of my favorite restaurants is Corralitos Steakhouse.
Corralitos.
Yes, if you've ever been there, the best aged steak ever. My lady took me there for one of my birthdays one year, and I fell in love with it. It's bomb.
Corralitos, yeah, I've heard it's
Corralitos.
bomb. Have you tried it?
The most bomb red
They're opening
beers.
up a new one on Pelicano and Zaragoza. It's right next
Yep.
to my office, yeah.
Yep, it's the shit.
I don't know anything about steakhouses, man. I get sides when I go there.
You know,
So,
I'm a contractor, drink beer, eat steak.
well, I'm a realtor and I'm a vegetarian. So there's not a lot of,
Salud.
there's not a lot of.
We'll go do yoga together, man.
Yoga, I don't do yoga. I do meditate though. Meditating is the shit, man.
Yes.
I've been meditating for the last 20, going on 4 days tomorrow. 24, 25 days, and it's fucking.
Mental health is
Bro,
trip you
like
out, bro.
mental health. I wish I'd been doing this way before this, but again, man, congratulations on
Thank
you. For those of you that are listening, make sure you guys tune in every single Wednesday. We're gonna be doing a new episode, having a new guest every single Wednesday, interviewing these entrepreneurs, influencers like Chris. And hop on every Wednesday to our social medias. We're gonna be answering questions and answering them here live. So thanks again for you guys tuning in, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday.